One of the major concepts discussed in this course is learning. This concept includes classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and observational learning. These three concepts have made a huge impact in psychology and how we understand learning. Classical conditioning is one of the most simple but important forms of learning. In 1904, Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov accidentally discovered the phenomenon of classical conditioning as he was studying the digestion of dogs. Classical conditioning is a type of learning in which a neutral stimulus acquires capacity to elicit a response after being paired with another stimulus that naturally elicits that response. A widely used variation of Pavlov's original experiment with a metronome is of using the sound of a bell and delivery of food to a dog. When the dog was given food, he would begin to salivate. Pavlov then introduced the sound of a bell, in which the dog had no response and did not salivate. Pavlov then introduced the food with the sound of a bell. This combination produced salivation. After time, Pavlov then removed the food and only produced the sound of the bell. The sound of the bell caused the dog to salivate. The dog then learned to connect the bell with food, which led to the bell becoming a conditioned stimulus and the dog's salivation as a conditioned response. This experiment was the first major discovery of classical conditioning. With the continuous growth in psychology, counseling has been able to counteract the effects of classical conditioning in treating trauma triggers. For example, someone has experienced a traumatic event such as a car accident. They hear the sounds of tires screeching and begin to feel immense panic and fear even though they are safe. These sounds of tires screeching have become a conditioned stimulus, and the feeling of panic has become a conditioned response. Trauma-focused therapy uses techniques like gradual exposure, or EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, to expose the triggering sounds in a safe and controlled environment. Over time, the brain learns new associations and helps reduce panic. Operant conditioning is another important form of learning. Operant conditioning is the type of learning in which behavior is strengthened if followed by reinforcement, and weakened if followed by punishment. In the early 1900s, U.S. psychologist Edward Thorndike studied how hungry cats escaped puzzle boxes to reach a bowl of food. To escape the box, the cats had to push a lever that lifted a gate which allowed access to food. After time, the cats learned the correct behavior to access food, which introduced the term of law of effect. If an action leads to something good, it's more likely to happen again. Or, if an action leads to something undesirable, it's less likely to happen again. Although Thorndike set the stage for operant conditioning, it did not become influential into the 1930s when psychologist B.F. Skinner elaborated on the law of effect. Skinner invented the Skinner box, where a rat could press a lever to get food or to avoid a shock. This experiment gave us the terms of positive reinforcement, such as the delivery of food, and negative reinforcement, the avoidance of a shock. These reinforcements increase the likelihood of the rat to press the lever in the box. The opposite consequence of reinforcement is punishment. While reinforcement increases the probability of a response, punishment decreases the probability of a response. Imagine you have a new puppy that you're trying to train. When you tell the puppy to sit and he does, you give the puppy a treat and pets. The puppy now thinks, if I sit, I get a yummy treat and scratches. So in turn, the puppy starts to sit more when told to do so. That is a form of reinforcement. Now, if the puppy jumps on the couch and you yell no, you take the treat away from him. The puppy now learns that jumping means no treat, so it stops jumping on the couch. That is a form of punishment. Operant conditioning is heavily used in behavior therapy. For example, for a child with maladaptive behaviors, a behavioral therapist may use a reward system, like a sticker chart, to increase the likelihood of the child to engage in good behavior. When the child taps the therapist's shoulder to get their attention instead of hitting them, they would receive a sticker for appropriate behavior. After earning enough stickers, the child can trade them in for a bigger reward like extra playtime or a new toy. Since good behavior is followed by a reward, the child learns to behave appropriately more often. This is an example of positive reinforcement. Another theory discussed in the concept of learning is observational learning. Observational learning is learning by observing and imitating the behavior of others. This theory helped explain the way children learn to talk, play, and behave, the influence role models parents and teachers have, and learning without direct experience. In the 1960s, psychologist Albert Bandura believed that people learned not only by rewards and punishments, but by observation. Bandura conducted the Bobo doll experiment, where children watched a video of an adult hitting an inflatable doll. The children were left with the same doll, and many of them copied the aggressive behavior they had previously seen. The Bobo doll experiment taught a critical lesson about the importance of role models and how they affect children's behavior. Bandura developed the social learning theory to explain how people learn from observing others. These findings raised many concerns about children watching violent TV shows or playing violent video games. People feared they could imitate that aggression in real life. The experiment laid the foundation for social cognitive theory. Observational learning is commonly used in 12-step recovery groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. In these support groups, people who are recovering from alcohol or drug addictions share experiences and support each other. Many times, a long-time sober member shares ways they have stayed clean. They talk about struggles they have faced and healthier actions and strategies they take. Newer members are listening and learn that those same actions could work for them too. In turn, they begin to model those behaviors in their own recovery journey. Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and observational learning are foundational concepts in psychology. These critical components of learning help explain how humans and animals learn from their surrounding environments. Each theory plays a critical role in understanding behavior development, mental health, and the formation of habits. These theories are actively used in classrooms, therapy rooms, homes, and workplaces on a consistent daily basis.